Literally just filmed this whole video and realized I wasn't recording. Hey guys, it's me, and I've been waiting to film this video forever, and I'm so excited, and it might be a little bit lengthy, so let's just get into it. So this is going to be my official video talking about my college decision process and where I'm officially going, which is, if you can't tell by my sweatshirt or my Instagram post, I'm going to Columbia College Chicago. And I will talk more about that later in the video, so let's just jump right in. This isn't going to be like a big advice video, this is going to be more me talking about my experience. If you want an advice video, let me know. So first things first, I've known my whole life I wanted to go into some sort of major having to do with theater. That is a very hard decision to make. It's very hard to know, it's a very hard career path. If you want a separate video all on like, is this the right major for me? I will do one because that's it's like a very personal decision, but it's also like a very, very big one. Like, do you want to invest so much money into your education and possibly not get a return on it? So I've known that my whole life though. I'm very confident in that decision of mine. And I know it's the only thing that's going to make me happy. So in 7th grade is where my college search began because somebody had told me that Northwestern in Evanston, Illinois was a great theater school. And I was like, that's so cool. So I Googled it and I looked up a list of alumni and I was like, oh my God, all these people went here. I have to go here. This is the only way for me to be successful, which is a lie. But 7th grade me was like, this is it. This is the school for me. And then I scrolled down and I saw the acceptance rate was 7.9%. And I was like, crap. But at that point I was like, you know, I'm going to focus, like I'm going to study, I'm going to work hard in school. I literally wrote 7.9% on a piece of paper and taped it like above my desk, so whenever I was studying I would look up and be like, this is why I'm working so hard. My actual college search started in freshman year, but at that point I was still looking at Northwestern. I still thought that was like one-track path for me. I also knew some people who had went to DePaul University for theater, and these were girls who they were in high school when I was in elementary school community theater, and I remember looking up to them a bunch, and I was like, if these girls are going there, then I should probably go there too. And then at the time, I also like kind of just Google searched random colleges, specifically in Chicago, because I was like, Chicago's so pretty. And I found this school called Columbia College Chicago, and their website was like super weird, and I was like, what is this weird school? Like, it's so creative, like what? So I was like, okay, I'll put it on my list because I have a high acceptance rate because like it's an art school. And then that summer after my freshman year, I spent my first 2 weeks doing a camp at Second City, and I was like, wow, Chicago's awesome. Like, I definitely want to keep thinking about going to college here. The summer before my junior year, I did that camp again. At this point, I started the college touring process. I toured Columbia College Chicago first, and I was expecting to fall in love with it. And something was weird because my tour, like, I had to be specially arranged, and they like forgot about it or something. So I showed up, and literally they were like, "Oh, here, this person can show you around campus." But then like none of the buildings were open because it was summer, and it was like. I was like, my tour guide was really nice, but the tour was like, like we just saw the outside of all these buildings, but okay. And then we toured DePaul the next day, and we did like the general college tour, not the theater school tour, which is very different tours, and I fell in love with it. I was like, DePaul is so cool. This university has all these cool things, but it also has a shining theater department, like a world-renowned theater department. That is awesome. So that was like summer before junior year. And then my actual junior year, we went back to do college visits with my dad. This time we visited Northwestern, which had still been like this shining beacon of light. And I toured it, and I was like, okay, like, but like, what else? And my parents really, really liked it, but for some reason I just didn't have that connection. But I was like, silly Grace, you must just be silly because this is such a great school, you need to love it. So I was like, yes, it was great, but really I was like, Also at this point I kind of realized that academic-wise it wasn't super realistic of me to expect to get into this almost Ivy League school. But I still loved it. We also toured the DePaul Theater Department tour, and it was amazing. They have a brand new building, beautiful, beautiful thing, and I was like, this is so cool. Also throughout my junior year, I used capex.com, highly recommend that site, not sponsored. You just enter your information, your high school stuff, and they like certain colleges will reach out to you and say like, hey, look at our program. Also, you can reach out to certain colleges and give them your information so they mail you stuff. And it also tells you your chances of being admitted to these schools based on the GPA and ACT scores you entered. Right after my junior year ended, I made a list of 12 schools I was going to apply to starting in August. These schools were all over the country, but I also had a wide range. I had 4 schools that I knew I could get into. They had high acceptance rates. I had 4 schools that I was kind of like iffy if I would get into them, or I didn't know that much about their department that I couldn't gauge if I had a good chance of getting into them. And then I had 4 schools that I knew would be stretch schools for me, but I knew I still wanted to try to apply to. And then I headed off to spend 3 weeks in Chicago doing my 3rd summer camp at Second City. This was the first time I'd been there for 3 weeks, and I loved it. I loved Chicago, and a week and a half into this camp, I was waiting at a train stop with my mom, and all of a sudden I was like, Mom, this is where I need to be. Like, if I'm not living here for college, I'm not going to be happy. That was such an epiphany for me. It was such an important moment. It narrowed my college search down quite a bit, and it made me feel really relaxed because I was like, I know, like, I get so happy when I'm in this city. I know, like, I want to pursue an education here. I'd also spent 10 days in New York over the summer, at which point I was like, hey, maybe I'm gonna fall in love with New York too, and I didn't, which, like, I love New York, but for college, it's just not the place for me. Like, I don't want to pursue an education there. Pursue a career, possibly. Like, I'll see where the future takes me. Also, in that 10 days at New York, it was at a leadership conference, and all these, like, college students were our, like, teachers and stuff, and I kind of started questioning on whether I wanted a BFA or not, and BFAs are what DePaul offers for theater, and Columbia has one, but they have a lot of other programs too, and Northwestern is a BA. The thing about a BFA is you're only doing theater. You are literally doing theater from 7 in the morning to 11 at night, and it's almost impossible, at least with DePaul's program, it's different depending on the program, to pursue a double major or minor. I'm someone who I have a lot of interests. I also have a family that would be very happy if I got a double major or minor in business because everybody's like, you have such a business mind, and I'm like, okay. I ended up applying to 4 schools. You'll see what I mean by applying in a second. Starting in August, I applied to DePaul, I applied to Northwestern, I applied to Columbia College Chicago, and I applied to Loyola, which I didn't really know anything about Loyola, but I was like, hey, Chicago, we'll do it. And then I went to tour them in the fall, at which point I'd been accepted to Loyola with a very big scholarship, and I'd been accepted to Columbia College Chicago. So first we toured Loyola, and it is a beautiful campus, it's a great campus, it's a great school, but their theater program, they have a really good lighting program, but the rest of their theater program is kind of just like, I didn't see it sticking out from other places, so I was like, not the school for me. I toured Northwestern, and this time I did a theater department specific tour there, and I was like completely unwowed. And it was so weird for me because I was like, this is a school I'd been dreaming of for like 6 years, and all of a sudden I was like, you know what? I don't think I want to go here. I'd also had a conversation a few months earlier with this lady who I consider to be like another mother to me, and one of her friends worked at the library for Northwestern, and she just kind of was like, you know what, Grace, like, I don't know if this is the right school for you just because they put so much pressure on their students, which is good for some people, but for people like me, I'm very like self-motivated, and I don't do well with outside pressures from people. So I kind of like thought about that, and I toured it, and I was like, you know what, Mom and Dad, like, I'm glad you guys like this school, because they really like that school, but it is not for me. Like, if you guys want to pursue like a master's here, go for it, but I am out. And then I toured DePaul again, and I loved it again, but then it's that little like BFA like question mark was in the back of my mind. And then we toured Columbia College Chicago, and I loved it. It was a real tour this time. It was great. We went into buildings, we went into dorms. It's such an urban campus, but it like art school vibe, and it's like this creative, supportive environment, and I was like, this is so cool that like all these people are here and they're doing this. My tour guide was amazing. I related to her a lot, and I just like felt a connection. I was like, wow, you get this, you get me. My dad was like, what the heck is this school? My parents had like never seen a school like this, and obviously neither had I. And my dad was like, I don't get it. They don't have a sports team. Like, it was just like really weird for my parents, but I loved it. And my mom was like, yeah, I can see why you would like this school. Then I didn't apply to Northwestern, like I said. I decided not to go to Loyola, so I was down to DePaul and Columbia College Chicago. So DePaul has auditions because 1,000 kids audition for their program and only 32 get in. What great odds. So January 29th, I went to an open house at DePaul, which if you're counting would be my 4th tour there, because it was the day before audition. So I was like, why not go up a day early, do this open house, it'll be fun. And it was fun, but it was also like all of a sudden this dream program. I kind of had the same thing that I did in Northwestern, where I was like, you know what, like, this is not as shiny as it once appeared to me. I couldn't really validate whether that was a real feeling or not because I was also so nervous and stressed out for these auditions that like my feelings were everywhere. It was like mood swings every day with me, so I was like, maybe I'm just crazy. And then Saturday I went in for my audition. I think I did really great. I think I know where I didn't do things that they wanted me to do. And then in the end, 5 kids out of 30 got a callback. Now, if you don't get a callback, you know you're not being considered for admission. So they read the callback list, and I was like, wow, my name is not on that list, and I have just made my college decision. And it was like the weirdest feeling ever because I wasn't sad I didn't get into their program. I was like, this is so weird, I'm going to college. So my mom and I literally hopped on the train, drove to the Columbia bookstore, and bought some merch. One thing I want to say, I said this wouldn't be an advice video, but this is my little 2 cents. It's okay to change your mind. It is okay to decide something you once wanted so bad is no longer the best fit for you. No one ever told me that, no one expressed that to me. I never saw that in any of these videos, which is why I was like so weirded out when I changed my mind both on Northwestern and like a little bit on DePaul, honestly. You grow, as you grow up, you change your ideas, you change your beliefs, and things that are like what's best for you is also going to change. On the happy note, I'm officially committed to Columbia College Chicago. I'm going to be a comedy writing and performance major and a creative advertising minor. That might switch the minor to something else, or I might end up double majoring in like advertising, but we're just gonna let it ride out. And I'm also gonna participate in the honors program there because they have this super cool honors program. I'm very excited. Their comedy studies department is like none other. Like this is a program like nothing else in the world, which is amazing. And I know it's the right place for me. I had kind of gone through this period where I was like, do I want to pursue theater or comedy, acting or comedy? And obviously you can do comedy without an acting degree, and you can do acting without a comedy degree. But I just like was very unsure, and like this was just like a sign that like, yeah, let's head in the comedy direction, and you can always do acting with that too. That's it for this video. Comment any requests you have down below, and other than that, I'm gonna peace because I'm sure this video was very long. Bye.